Hello everyone and welcome to lesson 10.2A. I've entitled this video, Early History of the Andes and Mid-Latitude Countries. This video is going to cover pages 306 to 309. Early History and Conquest. Native Americans and European colonizers made major contributions to the history of this region of South America. The actions and achievements of both groups continue to influence life today. Almost all of the countries in the region have been independent for nearly 2 centuries. Still, their history continues to influence their culture. Rise and fall of the Inca Empire. Before the rise of the Inca in the 1100s, the Andean region was the home of small Native American societies such as the Mochi, the Mapuche, and the Amnara. These societies were based primarily on agriculture. The Mochi settled on the arid coastline of northern Peru. Archaeological finds show that they were talented at engineering and irrigation. They used a complex irrigation system to grow corn, or maize is what it's also called, beans, and other crops. Question number 1. How did the Mochi show their ingenuity to grow crops in their part of the world? Well, they showed their ingenuity because they were able to build engineering feats and irrigation, and so even though this terrain was tough, they found a way, even back in the 1100s, to make these crops work. The Inca developed a highly sophisticated civilization. They first settled in the Cusco Valley and was now Peru. You can see that on the map here. It was not until their 5th emperor, Capac Yupanqui, that they began to expand outside the valley. In the 1400s, under the rule of Pachacuti Inca Yupanqui, the Inca made extensive conquest. I'm sure I butchered that name. By the early 1500s, the Inca ruled a region stretching from northern Ecuador through Peru and then southward into Chile. Historians estimate that the area was home to 12 million people. This population included dozens of separate cultural groups who spoke many different languages. And you can see the rise of their empire over time by this map, which does a very good job. Question number 2. By the early 1500s, what part of South America did the Incan Empire cover? It stretched all the way from northern Ecuador, which we studied, all the way down to Peru, and then southward into Chile. So that's a long stretch. Question number 3. By the early 1500s, how many people do historians believe lived in the Inca Empire? They were home to up to 12 million people, and that's quite an impressive feat back then with the technologies they didn't have compared to what we have today. That's a lot of people. The Inca state was called Tawantinsuyu. The name means the land of the 4 quarters. The imperial capital was located where the 4 quarters or provinces of the Inca Empire met, at Cusco. And you can see that on the map right here. There's where the 4 corners met. Inca society was highly structured. At the top of the hierarchy were the emperor, the high priest, and the commander of the army. The nobility served the emperor as administrators. At the bottom of the social pyramid were farmers and laborers. And now we can answer question number 5. What does the word hierarchy mean? That is how a society can be structured. Who's in charge, basically, and the pecking order, if you will, like who's on top, who's in the middle, and who's on the bottom. That would be what you're looking for hierarchy. Question number 6, 7, 8, and 9. Fill out the Inca Empire hierarchy pyramid below. So at the top, you have the king. You might have the high priest. And when we say king, it can also be called the emperor, and the commander of the army. Those people would be at the top of the pyramid. Just below them, in the second spot, would be the nobles. Those would be the people that served the emperor as administrators. So they basically carried out the will of what the emperor was wanting, or the king. At the third level, you have the merchants and artisans. So these are basically people that have some sort of skill that is in demand. They make things or sell things. And then at the bottom, you have what we would call the commoners, who would be the farmers, the laborers, and slaves. So they would be at the bottom of this hierarchy. Inca technology and engineering were highly advanced. The Inca built extensive irrigation systems, roads, tunnels, and bridges that linked regions of the empire to Cusco. Today, you can still see the remains of Inca cities and fortresses. Some of the most impressive ruins are at Machu Picchu, located about 50 miles northwest of Cusco. And you can see a wonderful picture here of Machu Picchu. And then you can also see the bridge that they constructed, and these are the tunnels that you see here. Question number 10. How did Incan technology and engineering help connect the regions of their empires? Well, they built a lot of irrigation systems, they built a lot of roads, a lot of tunnels, and a lot of bridges, and that helped to connect a very challenging region of our world to connect because of all the high elevations and peaks. The Inca had no written language. Instead, they created a counting system called quipu for record keeping. A quipu was a series of knotted cords of various colors and lengths. Messengers carrying quipu could travel as far as 150 miles per day on the roads. The Inca became extremely wealthy because of their vast natural resources of gold and silver. Question number 12. What did the Inca not have? They didn't have written language. Question number 13. What was quipu to the Inca Empire? Quipu was how they kept track of counting. They used these ropes with these different cords of various lengths and colors, and that they used that to help keep track of finances. It just blows my mind how they did that. Spain conquers Peru. Unfortunately for the Inca, however, their advanced culture could not turn back the invasion that led to the empire's downfall. The Spanish conquest in Mexico encouraged them to move into South America. In 1532, a Spanish adventurer named Francisco Pizarro landed in Peru with a small band of soldiers. Question number 14. What Spanish adventurer landed in Peru in 1532 with a small band of soldiers? That would be Francisco Pizarro. Pizarro had heard tales of the fabulously rich cities on the Pacific coast of South America. He also learned that the Inca Empire had been badly weakened by a civil war from which the new emperor, Atahualpa, had emerged victorious. When the Spanish confronted Atahualpa, the Inca army, unprepared to face Spanish artillery, was nearly destroyed. Within a few years, the Spanish controlled the entire empire. The Spanish also seized control of the region's precious metals. The road system that the Inca developed became an important transportation route for Spanish goods. The Inca are the ancestors of the Native Americans who live in the Andes region today. Question number 15. Why did Francisco Pizarro come to the Inca Empire? Because he knew there was riches to be had there. He heard the stories that the Incas had a ton of gold, a ton of wealth, and that's what the Spanish were after, wealth. Question number 16. What did Pizarro do to the Inca Empire? He conquered them. Within a few years, he had basically destroyed the Inca Empire, and Spain had taken over. Question 17. Oh, we can't do question 17 yet. We have to wait for this slide. The Spanish also branched out from Peru to create colonies in Argentina, Chile, and other parts of South America. The Spanish military victors were called conquistadors, from the Spanish word for conqueror. The Spanish colonies became sources of wealth for Spain. Some Spanish settlers prospered from gold and silver mining. Spanish rule of the Andean and mid-latitude areas in the region continued for nearly 300 years. Question number 17. What were the conquistadors? Oh, that was the name for the military victors from Spain that basically conquered and took over this part of the world. Question 18. How did Spain benefit from conquering many parts of South America? Well, these became sources of wealth for Spain. By conquering these lands that had all this gold and silver, they were able to take that and make it theirs. After the Inca lost their empire to the Spanish, they and other Native Americans in the region endured great hardships. Their numbers declined drastically as a result of smallpox, a highly infectious disease introduced by the Europeans. The introduction of epidemic diseases also affected numerous Native American groups in North America. Yeah, their story is our story too, here in North America. Question 19. What is smallpox? That is a highly infectious disease. I'm sure some of you are having a hard time looking at these pictures. Yeah, that's nasty, 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 dangerous stuff. It's a good thing we've almost eradicated it from the world. Certainly we've gotten rid of it here in the Western Hemisphere, thanks to vaccines. Question 20. How did epidemic diseases impact the history in North and South America? Well, it wiped out large groups of people, the indigenous populations. A large portion of them were just killed, just eliminated, died because their antibodies had not been created to fight off these diseases that wasn't in their bodies. These were new diseases, and it wiped out large percentages of the indigenous peoples in those lands. Well, thank you so much for watching. It's hard to go with a fun meme after such a sad, depressing story, but I do have this for you. Francisco Pizarro's face when he finally rules and becomes rich. Thank you again for watching, and have a great day.